if you're depressed, this is going to lift your spirit, because you mean it's God's doing. Some of us be thinking it is witchcraft. Honey, today you arise, okay? All came from sand, and there we shall go back. And let me bring now the hope of light. Let me shine some light to you on what the preacher discovered. What makes a difference in your life? What makes you not just toil? Because hey my loves, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you have subscribed, because it helps us grow, and we are on a mission to building a godly community, and you join me, okay? Just join us by clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload. Today's video is for someone who is depressed, someone who is asking questions, someone who is wondering what is more to life than just living, someone who is wondering what is more of life than just working and toiling every day. And we do have a Bible example, perfect Bible example. So do make sure you watch the video to the end, okay? I don't know about you, but I have gotten to a point in my life where I was asking God questions. And most of the time we ask those questions when we are very angry at God. I don't know, for some reason, maybe life has really dealt with us and we are seeking questions. We feel so unfulfilled. So we ask these questions. The thing about asking questions is that it depends with where the questions are coming from. And those questions are usually in terms of especially questioning your faith. They will turn you into a non-believer if you're not careful, or they will bring you closer to God if you are more careful. Questions come in when you start listening to the world and create a friendship with the world, and that is so true. When you start asking yourself questions like, why do people who are non-believers like succeeding, looking like they have blessings upon blessings? But you know what, you're not supposed to compare yourself to the non-believers, because the time for them to reap what they sow will definitely do come. And remember, do not lean on your own understanding too. That is in Proverbs, because when you start leaning on your own understanding, you start thinking, I can actually do it on my own. Like, I don't need God, I don't need anybody, I don't need anything. And that's where the depression usually comes in. It is not wrong to ask questions, but ask them in good faith, seeking truth rather than seeking to disapprove the truth. And the truth is usually the Bible. You'll be questioning if God is real, things like that. You start doubting the Bible and the word of God, and it just takes you into this deep drain of life, and you get yourself into a depressive mode. Let me give you a perfect example in the Bible of someone who actually went through this route, and it's nice. I wish I saw this when I was depressed in those years back, you know. But now if you're depressed, this is going to lift your spirit, because you will know that you are not the first one to be depressed in the world, you know, and you're not going to be the last one. Remember, nothing is new under the sun. So who is this, our perfect example in the Bible? I'm super excited to share this with you guys, because I literally just read it yesterday. That is in the book of the preacher, aka Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. If you have time, you can go read it for yourself. Otherwise, I'm here to narrate the story. So this is the preacher. He was the wisest son of David. Like, he had all the wisdom, he had all the money, and so he was questioning himself, what is there more to life? Like, all of this is just vanity. These are the chapters that he explains and concludes that everything is just vanity. Everything can just disappear in a split second. That perfect job, those perfect women, everything can just disappear in a split second. And let's see how he got into his conclusion. He was questioning. Now he thought, I am wise, yet I will still die like a fool. Like, we'll all die the same. So he was questioning, what makes me different from a fool? He went ahead to party. You know what some of us are doing? What you are doing, partying, women, and all of these things. He did them all. He bought lands, he created vineyards, he did everything. He got everything, a material thing. He got it just to find enjoyment in it, but in the end it was all vanity. So the preacher got to a point where he was depressed, and let me read that exact verse, because I read it and I was like, oh, like, this is exactly how I have felt. I related to what exactly he was saying. And that we find in Ecclesiastes chapter 2 verse 17. And hear what he said, and tell me in the comment section if you relate, because if you haven't been in this stage of your life, you're so lucky, you're God's favorite. But let me read it. So I hated life, because what is done under the sun was grievous to me, for all is vanity and striving after wind. Tell me in the comment section if you've never said that thing of I hated life, because I've gotten to that point myself where I just hate life, and that's the depressive point. When I read this, I was like, oh my goodness, my heart sank. And it is so true that it is so relatable. And the preacher was actually failing to understand. Are we just created to just work, toil, 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 toil? Because in that same Ecclesiastes, it says that God gives us things to be busy with. Can you imagine? Like, he gives you businesses to be busy with. I saw that in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 10, and Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 13. So God will give you things to be busy with. The preacher was wondering, are we just here to be busy and then we all die? Whether you are wise or a fool, you just die the same way. Like, we all came from sand and there we shall go back. And let me bring now the hope of light. Let me shine some light to you on what the preacher discovered. What makes a difference in your life? What makes you not just toil? Because, guys, let me tell you, I also found out this. Like, some of you are just working. Like, God has just given you things to be busy with, but then you don't reap what you sow. Like, you just wonder, where is my money going? Have you ever wondered that? Like, if you're that person, I've got news for you. I've got answers to your questions today. And then there is this particular question that the preacher had that I actually do relate with it. And that is in chapter 2, verses 21. And it says, let's start from 20. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun, depressed anxiety. Verses 21, because sometimes a man who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave all to be enjoyed by a man who did not toil for it. Tell me if you've never thought about that, because I've thought about it and I thought, what is the meaning of legacy? Like, let me tell you, we will all die and nobody will remember you, whether you are a fool or whether you are wise. Let me also read that for you, because some of you think it's a lie. That is in chapter 2, verses 16, and it says, for of the wise man as of the fool there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How the wise man dies just like the fool. You'll still be wise, gain things, somebody else comes and enjoys the things you've worked for, and then you will die and nobody will remember you. I have had those thoughts in my head. I also had to mention in chapter 2, verses 24. It says that there is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. That is the conclusion that the preacher had. Verses 26, he says, for to the man who pleases him, God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner, he gives the work of gathering and heaping only to give to one who pleases God. So that verse actually relates to someone who is just working, and you're not seeing any investment. Like, your money is just like disappears in the wild wind. There is a verse that talks about that. I tried to find it, I couldn't. It's like when you're robbing God of the tithes and then you don't see the investment of your money. It's like things are just disappearing. And at the end of 5 years, 10 years, you're like, so what did I work for? Nothing. You are just toiling. And that is because if God is not pleased with you, he's gonna make you work for people of who God is pleased with. Like, when I read that, it was so mind-blowing. I don't want to be that person. I want God's hand to be on my toil, God's hand to be on my business, God's hand to be on my work, so that my work will be blessed. So that is the conclusion that the preacher had. So if you are depressed and wondering why is things just working somehow, the thing is, you have to acknowledge God with the work that you're doing. You have to please God with the work that you're doing. Your life in general should please God, so that you will find favor in his eyes, so that he will be pleased by you and he will bless the work of your hands and your work will be multiplied. I don't want to be working for somebody else. Like, I just be working and taking to the person who God is to them. Like, what? This is so true. Like, you've seen rich people just be working and they be taking their money to like people who God wants them to take it to, and then they don't even benefit from it. Like, you mean it's God's doing? Some of us be thinking it is witchcraft. Honey, today you are wise, okay? You need to acknowledge God with the work that you're doing. And in chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes, that's the chapter that talks about timing. In verses 11 of chapter 3, he says, he has made everything beautiful in its own time. In verses 13, also that it is God's gift to a man that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in his toil. It is God's will for you. It is God's purpose for you to take enjoyment in your toil, to work and drink using your toil, and not just be working. All is vanity. Here are the conclusions for you who is depressed about your work life and everything in life, is that you need to acknowledge God in that your life, because the fact that you've ended up being depressed is that you're not acknowledging God, and so that is what you've reaped from what you've sowed. So here is what I wrote in my journal. some encouragements for you. If God lets something happen in your life forever, there is nothing you can do to change it. That is from chapter 3 verses 14. Therefore, this means we should always seek God's face regarding every sector of our lives, because he has the key to it all. He can literally make me work and toil for vanity for the rest of my life, and not even my hard work will change it. Hustle culture. Some of you have just been taught hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, but you're working hard and you cannot see the things that you're working hard for. Get rid of the hustle culture. Reminds me of the verse that say, we toil yet we reap the whirlwind. We are all from the dust, and to dust we shall return. God's purpose for us on earth is just not to get busy with the work, but to enjoy and take pleasure in it at the same time, depending on him to bless the work and also to sustain it. That is the conclusion for us today. Depend on God with your work. Otherwise, it will just be vanity. One last conclusion for you who is depressed. What the preacher find out, without God's hand, that is in chapter 2 verses 24, in your toil or work or life on earth, what you do is vanity. That is from verses 26. And also life has seasons for everything. So be content with the season of life you are in. And that is the beginning of chapter 3 verses 1 to like 9. I hope this helps you, you guys. Remember to include God in your toil, others all will be vanity. That's why you're asking questions. He will give you the fulfillment from your toil. The fact that you're asking questions regarding your career life, it means you're not being fulfilled by it, and you're not being fulfilled because you're not including God in it. And remember, there is season for everything. So wherever season you are in life, be content. Pray for contentment from God to make you content with the season you are in life. Sometimes you just be asking questions because we are the microwave generation. We just want to move from like being jobless to like owning houses and cars. How? Respect timing. God makes things beautiful in his own timing. For all of us who are trusting God for a source of income, I hope this has been an encouragement. Be happy and content in the season of life you are in. Know what God has for you in that season of joblessness, because you never know the next season what it's gonna be. He will make things beautiful. Depend on him. Trust on him. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm gonna see you on my next video. I hope you're no longer depressed or anxious about life. Okay, just talk to God about it. Like, he got you, okay? Adios.